This video is all about modal auxiliary would. You will learn about the structure of affirmative, negative and interrogative sentences using would, as well as when and where to use would with the help of examples. It will help you to clear your doubts on the topic and enhance your English writing and speaking skills. Welcome, I'm Seema from Edufinite. If you have any queries, you can ask me in the comments section. Without much ado, let's delve into the topic. Would, the modal verb. Now, would is a modal verb, as you know, and so since it's a modal verb, it does not have to be conjugated in accordance to the subject in a sentence. That means in a sentence, in accordance, that means the subject, whether it's a first person, second person, whether it's singular, whether it's plural, whether the sentence is in past tense or it's in present tense, would will not change. It will not become woods or wooded or wooding. It will remain would because it's a modal verb. Modal verbs don't change their form. That is, they are not conjugated. Now, it serves as a past form of modal verb will. Okay. Now, the basic structure of would when we use it in a sentence will be as subject, then would, then the main verb. The main verb should be in the base form or the V1 form, and then the rest of the sentence. For example, I would like some dark chocolate. So here I use the subject, then would, and then the main verb like, which is in the base form, and then the rest of the sentence, some dark chocolate. Now this can be contracted and we can say I'd like some dark chocolate. Okay. The next sentence, this is an interrogative sentence. So we bring the would forward. Would you sit here? That's the structure of an interrogative sentence when we use would. Next we have the negative sentence. She would not sit here. So we introduce not in between would and the base verb, that is the main verb. Next, how do we contract a negative sentence? She wouldn't sit here. So this is the basic structure how we use would in a sentence. Now we move on to would, its various uses. Yes, would is a little confusing, especially for students for whom English is the second language. So let's delve into the topic without much delay. Would has quite a number of different uses, and they are as follows. As conditionals, to explain an outcome to a hypothetical situation. That means suppose we think of a situation and then we try to assess what the outcome would have been. So let's look into the sentence to understand it a little better. The first one is present unreal conditional, which is also known as the second conditional. Now, if I had time, I would bake the cake. So I'm talking about the present time. Now, I'm talking now. Suppose I'm talking with my friend and I'm telling her, if I had time, I would bake the cake. Like that means I don't have the time. So I'm talking about the present unreal conditional or the second conditional. Okay. The next one is past unreal conditional or the third conditional. If I had time, I would have baked the cake. That means I didn't have the time. In the past, I'm talking about a situation which has already become past. That means I have already overcome that period. I'm now in the present. It had happened earlier. Then I had said that if I had time, I told my friend maybe that time, if I had time, I would have baked the cake. So this is how we use would in hypothetical situations. Okay, now the next sentence, Sam would have lived in New York, but it was too expensive. Now, this is not a conditional sentence. It's unreal but not conditional. Why? Because there is no if. We have said Sam would have lived in New York, but it is too expensive. That means Sam is not living in New York since it's too expensive. Now, we can turn this sentence into a conditional sentence if we say, if New York was not too expensive, Sam would live there. Then it becomes a conditional sentence. Okay, now let's move on. The next use of would is as the past of will. It is placed after reporting verbs where will is used in direct speech. So we have direct speech and indirect speech. In direct speech, if we have a past reporting verb and then we have will, then that will is replaced by would. Let's look into the sentences to understand it. So if the direct speech is as Sam said to me, I'll make the breakfast, or I will make the breakfast, then if we have to transform this sentence into indirect one, we will say as Sam told me that he would make the breakfast. So you see, will becomes would. Next, the candidate said, I won't increase taxes. That means the candidate said, I will not increase taxes. Yes, she is trying to woo the voters. She's trying to woo the voters towards her side, and she's trying to give them, this incentive that if she is elected, she will not increase the taxes. Now, if we convert this into an indirect speech, then it will be as the candidate said that she would not increase taxes. Okay, the next we use would. It is used to express future in the past. Now, let's look into the sentence to understand it. Now, this is future relative to the present. I've just given you an example so that you understand how we change that into the past. I know that you will excel in your exams. We often say, if someone is giving his or her exam and we try to boost up his or her morale, we always say, I know that you will excel in your exam. So this is in the present tense when we talk about the future. Why about the future? Because the exam is not yet over. It's going to come. So it's going to come in the future. So we are trying to boost the morale of that particular student and tell him or her that I know that you will excel in your exam. Now, if we try to change this to future relative to past, then what will we say? I knew that you would excel in your exam. That means the exam is over and the results are out and the student has really excelled in his or her exam. So then you say, I knew you would excel in your exam. Okay. Now, the next sentence is, Katie promised that she would buy me a gift. So yes, this is also in the past, like a few days ago maybe, she had promised me that she would buy me a gift. So this is something, future relative to the past. She would buy me a gift. Next we have, Maria thought it would rain, so she brought her umbrella. So Maria, when she was maybe coming out of her house, maybe she was going to her office, and then she looked, outside and she saw, the sky was covered with thick gray clouds. And she thought it will rain. So what she did, as a preventive measure, she took her umbrella. So when she came to the office, maybe it started raining, and then she came and told me, most probably, that, see, I've brought my umbrella because when I was coming out of the house, I thought it would rain, and so I brought the umbrella. Next, when I tell somebody else, then I can say, Maria thought it would rain, so she brought her umbrella. Okay, the next one is to talk about habitual past actions but not states. Please remember, it's only actions, not states. That means the mental state or anything, we are not going to talk about that. Only habitual past actions, when we talk about them, we use would. And of course, that can be replaced by used to. Let's look into the sentence to understand it. Every year, we'd visit the farmhouse. Now, this is the contracted form. Actually, it is we would. So we would, when we contracted, we can say would. Every year we'd visit the farmhouse. Now you can also say every year we used to visit the farmhouse. That means it's a past action. Sometimes in the past we used to visit our farmhouse every year, but at present we do not do that. So that's the habitual past action. When we talk about it, we use would. Okay, next. When you were a kid, you would talk a lot. So maybe I'm telling my son, now he's grown up, that when you were a kid, you would talk a lot. He used to talk, all the kids, when they are small, they talk a lot. They go on talking. So I told my son, when you were a kid, you would talk a lot. Okay, the next sentence. When he grew older, he wouldn't talk much. Maybe I'm talking about my son, and I'm telling someone that when he grew older, as a child, he would talk a lot, but when he grew older, he wouldn't talk much. He would like to keep to himself. Okay, now you have to note one thing. One can use would for actions only and not for states. And used to can be used both for actions as well as states. For example, we can replace these sentences. As I told you, every year we used to visit the farmhouse. Then the next sentence, when you were a kid, you used to talk a lot. So this is how we can replace would with used to. Okay, the next is to talk about offer polite requests and questions. So when we have to, offer something or make polite requests or, ask questions politely, we use the modal verb would. What would you like to have for your drink? When we go to the restaurants and when they want to serve us drinks, they do often come and ask us, what would you like to have for your drink? So that's how would is used. It's a polite way of asking a question. I'd like some hot chocolate, please. Again, I would is contracted to I'd. So that is also a polite way of replying. I'd like some hot chocolate, please. Okay. Would you hold the book, please? Now, if you want somebody to help you and you want to be polite about that, we always use would. Now, suppose I say, can you hold the books, please? That's not very polite. You can tell your friends, can you hold the book, please? That's an informal way of saying. But if you say, will you hold the books, please? That's also a polite way. But a more polite way would be, would you hold the books, please? So if you want to be very polite with someone, we use the word would. Next, when we try to offer help, then also we use would. I would be happy to help you with your house decor. So yes, that's how we use would. That's a polite way to offer your service. Next we have, would you like some more cookies? So maybe I'm the host and my son's friends have come in and I'm serving them cookies. So instead of being forthright, I just ask them, would you like some more cookies? If they want, they're going to take it. If they don't like, they won't have it. So now let's move on. Would is normally used in questions after a question word. So when you have questions, we use would after the question word. For example, where would Rita like to go for a vacation? Next we have, how would you like to pay your bill? So, when we go to the grocery shop, they may ask us, how would you like to pay the bill? Whether you'd like to pay it by cash or whether you'd like to pay by your card. So, how would you like to pay your bill? Next we have, who would he choose as his dancing partner? So, maybe there's someone who dances very well and everyone is, thinking that who would be the lucky person to dance as his partner. Next we have would for wish. I wish you would visit your grandma more often. So when we try to, express our wish, we use this word would, this modal verb would. Next we have, I wish they wouldn't smoke so much. And lastly, I'll conclude with this. Would is used for derogatory comment. That means if we, want to make something that's not very, we don't like a person, or we want to say something, bad about that person, then we sometimes use would. For example, Harry said he didn't push his brother. Well, he would, wouldn't he? So maybe Harry is a little naughty and he's got a little brother, and since he's naughty, he pushes his brother quite often. So his brother maybe fell down and he's crying, and then Harry is saying, no, I did not push him, I did not push him. Then we discuss that, well, he would, wouldn't he? Because he's very naughty and he often does that. So the next one is, they would do that, wouldn't they? So we think that they are capable of doing it. So we say, they would do that, wouldn't they? So I guess you had some idea about how and where to use would, the modal verb. That's all for today. Hope the video was useful. Let me know your thoughts about it in the comment section. I'll be back soon with a new video. Till then, take care, stay safe, and be happy.